Okay, agenda item number 11, sorry, there's two ones there. Number 11, Chief Executive's report. Mr. Williams, please, and you'll note that he has an appendix with it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just to report that we'll take the item as read. However, I just want to point out that financially the projects are progressing well, so therefore with the projects progressing so well, and also the deferral of one or two road seal extension types of works, we're well ahead on budget compared to where we thought we were going to be, so we're in a pretty solid financial position. I'm pleased to report that the projects we're undertaking are progressing well, and we have no sort of major outstanding risks. The compliance issues at the wastewater treatment plants are being worked through, as mentioned in the report. But, yes, I'm very pleased with where we're at the moment.
Okay, so take questions from Councillors on the report. Councillor Williams.
Just a question for the Chief Executive. Wonder if you could elaborate on the slippage in the flood and hazard district plan change, the development of the flood and hazard district plan change, as noted in your summary and as shown in the progress report.
Mr. Green will be able to give you some detail on that.
So it has slipped. The major reasons for that is the work that's going on in terms of the flood work around the lake and the erosion work that occurs to the physical work.
Is that the small committee that Mr. Williams, myself, and Councillor Kirk are on?
Yes, and that is one of the.
Yeah, we still have not got permission from the Taupo to do work. When we get permission, budgeted, then it's do it. Councillor Anderson.
In that regard, can I just confirm whether the material that was proposed to be used has been suitable or not? Because it was another outstanding issue.
Yeah, no, that's been settled, and the matter which we just keep confidential at the moment until we have it ratified by our committee is the announcement of who will pay what to do. Simply waiting for permission from the two projects. That's William.
Could I just add that there are some of our ratepayers down at Kuratau are getting exceedingly anxious to see the work done, and I note that you said you promised to have it done autumn or winter, aiming for autumn or winter, but it'd be good if we could keep them in the loop and up to date with the progress.
If you have any feedback at all, please be assured we have negotiated with the power companies. We've got the sand, correct sand that the engineers or those type of people think we should be using. Everything's in place. We simply need permission from the landowner to put it to our Maori trust.
Excuse me. So the prison material that's been put recently, is that without permission of the Mayor Board?
That one, so that was a trial, or a stage one if you like. It was quite a small amount, and that was taken from the boat ramp at Kuratau further down, which part of the material affairs the Harbour Master's really got permission to do on an ongoing basis, so that's a maintenance type of issue. What we're talking here is taking sand from a completely different location, in fact, at a lake, and bringing it in, which brings different.
What about the material? What about the material that's been placed at
Arataki, that was taken from behind the dam, so again, it's where it would have turned up anyway.
Just for the public interest, would like to update a formal update from Council with regards to wrapping up stage one of the ACC Bars. I just wonder for the public interest if our CEO could just make comment on the final inspections and the final actual costs when they become available from Mr. Bowden, how much, and a report on how much of the contingency that will feet into.
Now or right?
I'll just make a comment now as to
it's. I mean, we're still progressing with the contract. I understand that things are going very well with that contract. As is usual with most contracts, the project manager produces what would be called a snag list or a remedials action list, where any outstanding items are identified and retentions are withheld until such time as those works have been completed. I don't think there's any major concern in that regard, because, as has been mentioned earlier in the meeting, we have a highly professional contractor who seems very dedicated to the cause. So at this point in time, I'm optimistic of a contract that will be completed within budget, and I'm also confident that it will be to very high levels of professional workmanship. That is the feedback I've received today.
Well, shouldn't, and I'm not wrong here, shouldn't our small subcommittee that's working with Mr. Bowden be being supplied with these questions that you're wanting?
we've only had one spreadsheet, Your Worship, giving the costing, so it is timely that we receive another one. Have asked the CEO.
Mr. Williams had another meeting with the subcommittee here, because they're acting on behalf of all of us and giving me the confidence that the job's being done right. You are part of our team.
Well, in the report here, we had a budget of 5.586 million, and we're forecasting the final cost of 5.511. So the costings obviously exist to be able to provide those forecasts.
The running sheet,
I'm sure Andrew can supply that to the councillors within the working party.
Everyone pays their bills on the 20th of the month, and I know if we're doing a job, we have a running sheet, we just keep adding to it. We have a total, so I guess you want to know what stage the running sheet's at?
Yeah.
And that should be done between these three and Mr. Bowden.
But you also need to know what levels of claims may be there and may be outstanding, because they're not necessarily worked through on a monthly basis.
Yeah, it's really that sort of information that we would like as the subcommittee leadership. We've only had one financial.
I know you talk about my personal business, but if we do something, we have a running sheet, and that's correct each month. I can put the computer and see how much that project's cost so far. I can't necessarily know how much it's going to cost in total, but I know at least what we'll pay so far. So, okay, cool. If we could work with Mr. Bowden, I'm sure Mr. Williams will, instruct Mr. Bowden to work with you and produce the running sheets and keep a tab on it.
Andrew's managers in the room will. He will make sure that the messages are truly taken home.
Thank you, Bob. Mr. Salmon, sorry. One more for that. Okay, anything more for the Chief Executive's report? The summary and report, Councillor Henderson.
Yeah, I've got a few points to raise in relation to the report, in particular the Turangi Town Centre Revitalisation, our $1.3 million capital project in Turangi. I'd like these minutes, please. Given that it is one of our larger capital projects, the reports that I'm looking at from both November and February, we have only a couple of lines on the project. I understand a lot of money hasn't been committed to it and it hasn't got rolling yet, so I expect the finances to be pretty brief, but I consider the non-financial reporting to be inadequate. We have had some designs presented to councillors. From memory, it was a pretty rushed affair of 5 minutes in the lunchroom, so I'd like to see those brought back in more detail for everybody to see. I have gone and had a look at those myself, but it would be good if all of the council who funded this were made more aware of what's happening in that regard. The other thing is that the project plan there is said to be on track. I was told that this stage one would be completed before Christmas, and it wasn't. So it's debatable whether there has been any slippage of that project or not. I would argue that there has been significant slippage with the project. In that regard, with the implementation of the following stages, I'd like to, as soon as possible, see a timeline of those brought to council such that they can be locked in and we know where we're going for it in the future. Because, as I said, in my opinion, stage one has already slipped significantly. That money was available in July last year, and I have a project plan that said, in writing, said stage one would be done before Christmas, so it wasn't. So given that, I'd like to see stage 2 and 3 locked in more detail for the council. And in particular, given that it's such a large capital project, the non-financial reporting in the two reports have been provided in November and February is not sufficient.
Should they come to council or to the TT board? Well, they should start with, shouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, it is a big project, and it is taken time to bed in, and we did go through a consultative process, and I qualified the word consultative to mean that we asked for ideas from the community. They took a little while to materialise, but when we did get the traction in July, by the time we let the contracts out, I think we actually doing quite well from a council point of view in terms of getting a project underway.
I know it's like taking 11 months to get a permit for one building. It's taking 3 months to build it. Councillor Anderson?
Just in reply to your question, should that be the committee, board and council, I'll just point out that what I'm commenting on is the CEO's report to council on capital projects. So the answer is council.
Okay. So, anything more from the CEO's report? Have you wanted to table anything else? Okay. Resolution that the Chief Executive Officer's report for February 2013 be received. Move it, please. Move, Councillor Williams. Seconded, Councillor Johnson, those in favour. Aye. Okay, moving now to agenda item number 12. There's a few things here we need to talk about. Council engagement. Okay, you've probably got an email from me, and I think Rob must have pushed the go button about the same time as I did. I'm sorry, Councillor Williams.
Sorry, I thought we were just moving from the Chief Executive's summary through to the financial performance.
Well, I did ask for both, but let's go back. If you've got issue, so CEO's report, the summary, we'll say that. Do you want to move to anything in particular in financial?
Just a question for the CFO. If that's his correct title now, I'm a bit confused, but it's not. I'm sorry. I don't have it.
What's the CFO?
He's never been CFO.
Oh, his name.
What's the CFO?
Chief Financial Officer. I thought he was. I beg your
Okay.
pardon. I just have a question regarding rates revenue. Just as to why the why we're 579,000 behind at this stage of the year.
Basically, it's because of the summer that we've had. The level of water usage has been controlled, and we have found that our rates from water is down. Maybe people are just spending so much time swimming in the lake instead of using the water. Just one comment there, on that particular page, the note numbers, it should be, in the income should be number 1, 1A, 1B, 1C, and in the expenditure, note number 2. It's just a misprint.
So that won't be recoverable, that 579, it's not.
No,
it's just not going to come in.
But if you think about the collection of rates is to fund the expenditure, we have actually pulled back significantly in the expenditure. As you can see, we're showing operating expenditure down $2 million. So the rates revenue is more than compensated by the reduction in expenditure.
Just another question I have here of Mr. Williams. The economic development budget. I'm not too sure. I see it's 226 over. I just wanted an explanation of that. 226,000 variance there.
That's a positive variance. That's an under expenditure of 226,000.
$250,000.
The budget of 2.127. Probably a timing aspect, but as I say, as at the end of December, the actual was 1.9 versus the budget of 2.1.
I'm just having a problem because the variance is more. I thought we requested that variances of 30k the minimum of 30k or 10% were to be noted in the accounts.
And that is, Councillor, through the income and expenditure reports. That is really a cost of service statement, the one that relates to the grouping of activities, but you'll see a full description on the variances greater than plus or minus 10% or $30,000 in respect of the income and expenditure account.
Just at 8I.
Could you, I've got the variances on the third page of the report.
Through the chair, if I may be permitted to say so, at a meeting with the councillors last Friday week, I said to them if they had any questions of a financial nature prior to this council meeting, could they please send them to me so we could do a thorough investigation to be able to report back at the meeting. The councillors received these papers over a week ago. I've had no questions at all. So I just reiterate the fact that if you have any detailed financial questions, can you please send them to me prior to the meeting? Quite happy for you to raise those questions at the meeting, but it means that we're in a position to answer them.
Okay. Does that sound very reasonable to everybody? Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you.
With regards to the water treatment plant, we allocated an extra $1 million in the long-term plan. I see it's all coming in into budget of under 27 million. Is that still your position? I see the project's 90% complete. So
the additional $1 million was in the 13-14 financial year. In the coming year, this is reporting against the budget to the year to date ending 12-13.
I see the project's 90% completed. So the question is, do you see that $1 million in the 13-14 year being required at this stage of the project?
I can't comment on that. There are some discussions on contingencies in respect of the project. For example, the needles that went into the wall, those 6 metre long bits to stabilise the cliff base. There was additional cost faced because of the nature of the land. So there's some pluses and minuses that are still to be fully negotiated.
I've asked the staff to be as realistic as they can be with these reports. With any infrastructural budget and construction project, there can be big sort of sways depending on what ground conditions you encounter. You'll notice there's a note underneath the box for the water treatment plant that says the difference between the original budget and the forecast cost are potential savings if no unexpected issues arise. The engineers are being optimistic there, and I'm optimistic that there will be nothing unexpected that comes along. However, we have to be cognizant that when things do happen, in particular with engineering projects, that they can happen to dramatic financial effects. So again, I just want to point out that I'm optimistic, but we're not counting our chickens until we're 100% complete, rather than 90%.
And one other question on with regards to Turangi Road. I might have missed it here, but I just couldn't find it reported on, just where we are with the project. And
the project's due to be completed in March, is progressing well. I have read as installation of pressure main within the road reserve is nearly complete. 16 of the tanks have been delivered to site, with the installation of these expected to commence the first week of February, with work programmed to be completed in March. The budget was 500,000 and the forecast cost at the moment is 350,000.
excellent.
But, Councillor, the CEO is simply reading that from the paperwork that's in front of you.
But I do think it's of public interest, Your Worship, and I think it's worth commenting on, because it was an extraordinary item that was raised through a number of very disturbed people down in Turangi, and I think it's excellent that the council have been able to, council officers have been able to get underway with this project so quickly and get it near completion. So I'd like to out in the public arena.
Anything further?
Just with regards to the plan changes, there was not, I see here that submitters had 30 working days to lodge an appeal, so I'm taking it that there was no appeals lodged with regards to plan changes 28 to 33.
And there are 5 appeals to those plan changes, and we'll be reporting through you in due course in terms of getting delegations for the next stage of the process. At the moment, we're waiting for what's called 274 parties, so other people can come in support or opposition to those original advice.